trade, defense, and finance.
This is a Campaign 10 Candidate Forum.
Good evening. Welcome to the Campaign 10 U.S. Senate Candidate Forum. I'm Roger Cornish. The primary election is 3 weeks away. Tonight we'll talk with 3 Republican candidates. The 4th candidate, Robert Londerholm, told us he chose not to participate. So the candidates with us here today are Congressman Todd Tiahrt, Mr. Tom Little, and Congressman Jerry Moran. The candidates are all vying for the seat vacated by Senator Sam Brownback, who's running for Kansas governor. This forum will be broadcast all across the state through our co-sponsors, KCTV Channel 5 in Kansas City, KTKA 49 in Topeka, and Sunflower Cable in Lawrence. I'll be asking several questions of the candidates, many of them submitted by our viewers. But first, each candidate has an opening statement to give. We drew numbers at random to determine the order. We begin with Congressman Tiahrt.
Thank you, Roger. I want to thank Channel 12 and Roger Cornish for sponsoring tonight's debate. Kansans have a very important decision to make on August 3rd, whether they will be represented by an effective conservative or whether they'll be represented by somebody who has compromised on our shared conservative values. I have a strong 5-point plan to get our economy growing once again, building it from the ground up. The first point is tax relief. I know that if we can't have tax relief, we will not be able to get things spurred again. Unlike my colleague, Congressman Moran, I have never voted for a tax increase, and he has voted for 12 tax increases, including voting against a permanent repeal of the death taxes. You know, running for the Senate has been very much fun. I've traveled this beautiful state and met some wonderful people, and I'm looking forward to debate. Back to you, Roger.
All right, thank you very much. And now an opening statement from Mr. Tom Little.
My entire campaign is based upon financials. I'm a degree public accountant. I graduated from Pittsburgh State University. I've owned and managed my accounting firm for 45 years. During that period of time, I've owned 6 businesses. I've been on the board of directors of 12 corporations. I feel like 99% of our problems are financial. I have the solution for the financial problems. I put into this pamphlet my 45 years of experience that will definitely balance the federal budget, pay off the federal debt, and make the Social Security system solvent. So please read my pamphlet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And now an opening statement from Congressman Jerry Moran.
Roger, good evening. Thank you to KWCH, and I appreciate our viewers this evening joining us for this forum. It's especially appropriate as this election draws so close, 3 weeks from tonight. The encouraging thing is that as I've traveled Kansas, there are so many Kansans who care about the future of our country, and so many people are engaging in this election because they believe they have a responsibility to return this country to some sense of fiscal responsibility, to establish core values back into the federal government, and the direction that Washington, D.C. is going today is absolutely the wrong direction, not only for our country today, but even more importantly, for the future of our children and grandchildren. So I look forward to the conversation we'll have tonight and hope that we can eliminate the ideas that all of us have that would benefit Kansas and our country.
All right, thank you, Congressman. Now it's time for the question and answer portion of this forum. Again, we drew numbers to determine the order. The first person has 40 seconds to answer the question. The other candidates will each have 25 seconds to rebut. The first question goes to Congressman Tiahrt. President Obama wants to extend unemployment benefits, but is being blocked by the Republican Party. With all the laid-off aircraft workers, how will you vote on an extension to unemployment benefits, and why?
Well, if we want to get the economy going again, we can't just continue to try to extend unemployment benefits without making some significant changes to get the economy spurred. First, we need tax relief, we need regulatory reform. We also need to make sure that we have moving the healthcare system back to the private sector, and we need energy security and litigation reform. If we just keep feeding the unemployment without making these changes, we won't get the economy going again. And people really don't want unemployment benefits. What they do want is a job. So the best thing we can do for workers today is get them back to work. And that's why I've supported tax relief, and have been very disappointed when my colleague Jerry Moran has voted for higher taxes, because I think that continues to slow our economy down.
Thank you. And now the same question on unemployment benefits to Mr. Little.
Well, the unemployment benefits, we have to go ahead and continue to pay some of them. But I think that we need jobs, and the way we get jobs is to try to eliminate the 44 million illegal people in the United States. So every time one of them have a job, that means one of our a legal person does not have a job. So let's get rid of the illegals.
All right, thank you, Mr. Little. Now the same subject for Congressman Jerry Moran.
Roger, clearly there are Kansans who are hurting as a result of unemployment, and especially here in the Wichita area with the aircraft industry. But the reality is our country is broke. We are financially bankrupt. And it's important that we recognize that in making our decisions. Only if unemployment benefits are paid for by reduction in spending someplace else can we support extension of those unemployment benefits. And really the truth is it is job creation that we have to pursue.
Thank you. Our second question regarding the economic stimulus package. It was meant to create and maintain jobs. Do you think it was successful? And if not, what would you have done differently? We begin this answer with Mr. Little.
Well, the stimulus package obviously has not done any good at all. And I'm not real sure what to do other than creating jobs is almost impossible. We've got to get rid of the illegals so that the legal people can have jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Little. All right. And the same time now for Congressman Jerry Moran.
Well, I strongly opposed the stimulus package, and in fact am one of 17 members of the House of Representatives to vote against every bailout, every stimulus package. You cannot borrow or spend your way to prosperity. We know that. And yet this is an administration, a Congress led by President Obama and by Speaker Pelosi that believes that can be done. We have jobs that have been created under the so-called stimulus package have been government employment, and we need to create private sector jobs. And that comes with changing our tax code, encouraging investment in job creation activities, and making certain that our future is bright, not by spending money we don't have.
Thank you, Congressman. Now, a 25-second rebuttal from Congressman Todd Tiahrt.
Well, I oppose the stimulus bill. I think it's a bad policy and bad politics. What we need to do is my 5-point plan to get the economy growing from the ground up. Mr. Litter has a point, though. We have illegal immigrants here. That's why I've opposed amnesty and have voted against amnesty, unlike my colleague Jerry Moran, who has voted for amnesty. So it's very important that we make sure that we account for who's here, but you got to build a fence first. That's why I was very disappointed when Congressman Moran voted against building the fence. So we've got to get America back to work. We do it by doing this 5-point plan.
Thank you. Time's up. And we're switching gears now. Several viewers wanted us to ask a question about this following issue. A big part of the political machine is lifetime politicians. What is your position on term limits? This question, we begin first with Congressman Moran.
Well, let me first express my disappointment in Congressman Tiahrt's continual response to any question asked by being an attack upon me. And I hope we have the opportunity to rebut the suggestion that I vote for tax increases. I voted more than 200 times to lower taxes. I voted for a state tax repeal and certainly didn't vote not to build the fence. So Congressman Tiahrt, once again, in a Washington, D.C. fashion, is telling stories that simply aren't true in an attempt to persuade the audience something different than reality. I'm a supporter of term limits, believe that they can change and improve the nature of our political system, have voted for term limits, and think that it's something that must be pursued in the future. Career politics is very damaging to the country.
All right, thank you very much. Our next rebuttal comes from Congressman Todd Tiahrt.
Well, I'm the only one at the debate tonight that's actually voted for term limits. But I think it's important that people understand that when we talk about someone's voting record, it's a matter of public record. It's a matter of history. So when I talk about Congressman Moran's record, I know it makes him uncomfortable, but it's not a character assassination like Congressman Moran has done when he said that I was despicable and slimy. That's low politics, and Kansans deserve better.
All right, thank you, Congressman. And the last rebuttal on the subject comes from Mr. Tom Little.
I think term limits are a must. Because here's what's happened. We've got these guys that are in office. They're the ones that created the problems that we're having today. They're the ones that continue to perpetuate the problems that we're having today. So next time you vote, don't vote for anyone that's been in office more than 2 terms.
All right, Mr. Little, thank you very much. We begin our next question with Congressman Tiahrt. A few viewers wanted to know, if you're elected to the U.S. Senate, and this is their question, will you try to work with the current administration, or will you continue to block any and all legislation proposed by the president?
Well, I will work with the president if they finally come around to the right way of thinking. Right now, they have bent over backwards to outsource our national security to the French for an air refueling tanker. They have raised our taxes. They've borrowed money that we don't have for programs we don't need. So I would like to find some common ground. But the takeover of the healthcare system is not part of it. Neither is their plans for the economy. I'm looking forward to when they'll come around to some good conservative values that will rebuild the economy. We'll keep our national security built right here in America and make sure that we have some strong future for our kids so our kids can start a good business or get a good job.
Thank you, Congressman. And the first rebuttal to the question about cooperating with the White House goes to Mr. Tom Little.
Well, career politicians have proven that their priority is not the American people. Their priority is themselves. So vote out any politician that has been in office more than 2 terms, because they are the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And again, the final rebuttal to Congressman Jerry Moran about the question on cooperation or non-cooperation with the White House.
Well, Roger, unfortunately, we have a very liberal president and one who is very arrogant, is certain of his beliefs for the future of America, and one that is not listening to the American people. I think that was a message that we saw in the response to so-called health care reform. Americans time and time again tried to tell the Congress, led by Speaker Pelosi and by the President Obama, that this is not what they believe is good for the country. And if the President had a good idea, I'd be supportive of it. But I have voted against all the proposals that he thought were so important for the country.
All right, thank you. We will take a short break now. When we come back, more of your questions and your answers. Stay with us.
The 49 News Main Street Live Summer Tour continues Wednesday, July 14th in Manhattan. KTKA 49 News is visiting 9 Northeast Kansas towns this summer for a special 6 p.m. live newscast, and you're invited. Join us Wednesday, July 14th, live at the Manhattan Town Center. The first 150 guests enjoy free brats courtesy of Johnsonville. The 49 News Main Street Live Summer Tour continues on Wednesday, July 14th, live from Manhattan. Brought to you by these local sponsors. Here at KTKA, we're truly committed to your community. KTKA is the only TV station in Kansas with a dedicated reporter, Lauren Seabrook, covering the stories that impact Emporia. We cover the community like no one else, from Emporia State University activities to recognizing hometown heroes and celebrating milestones. We're proud to share in Emporia's challenges and its community pride.
In downtown Emporia, Lauren Seabrook, KTKA 49, ABC News.
KTKA, fast, focused, always local. 49 News gives you more angles on severe storms than any other local station with the SkyCam network. 7 cameras positioned throughout Northeast Kansas, Capitol Federal in Topeka, Manhattan, and Junction City, Emporia Gazette, Shawnee-Wabunsee County, Prairie Band Casino, Lawrence.
Our SkyCam network gives us a better picture of how storms are unfolding and lets you see firsthand the weather that's headed your way.
The largest network of SkyCams in Northeast Kansas, only on 49 News.
Welcome back to our Campaign 10 Candidate Forum. I'm Roger Cornish. Let's continue with a question that most of them asked by viewers. The following came in regarding health care. It goes to Mr. Little, first of all. Is health care or a portion of health care a right or a privilege? And secondly, how would you improve the cost of health care?
The way I would improve the cost of this would be to let all insurance companies sell insurance in all states, where they're not limited to, like in a couple of states, there's just 2 or 3 insurance companies that can sell in that state. And why we send $48 million to Egypt, for health care, and we don't even have it here, $47 million to Africa for AIDS. This paying out money to other countries for this has got to stop. Let's take care of our own first and then help other countries.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And the first rebuttal, Congressman Jerry Moran.
Well, no, the health care bill passed by Congress is a disaster. It's a disaster for Kansas and access to health care, hospitals, and doctors. And I don't think it's a right. The understated consequence of this bill is we'll have fewer hospital doors open, fewer physicians in our communities, and what we need to pursue is defensive medicine, selling insurance across state lines, providing no benefits for those people who are here illegally, promotion of wellness, fitness, diet, and nutrition, and improvement in our medical records. A lot of things can be done, none in this bill.
Thank you, Congressman. A final rebuttal on the health care issue, Congressman Todd Tiahrt.
Well, I've read the Constitution, and health care is nowhere to be found in it. I do consider it a privilege, but we do need to do something to lower the cost. I believe returning health care to the private sector will help us return to a more economically, more market-based health care system. I contributed to and supported a bill called H.R. 3400 that was measured, and it would have reduced health care costs by 10% for all Americans. That's what we should be doing, bringing the free market back into health care.
Thank you, Congressman. Our next question regards a hot-button immigration. How do you stand on illegal immigration? And what is your opinion on Arizona's new law, which is about to take effect at the end of this month? We turn first of all to Congressman Jerry Moran.
I'm very supportive of the governor and the legislature in Arizona in their attempt to enforce the law. And I think that's what this issue is about. Americans, Kansans, are very interested in immigration because they see the unfairness in having a system that allows people who are illegal to get ahead of the line. I oppose amnesty. Unlike Congressman Tiahrt, I never sponsored the DREAM Act. On 2 occasions, Congressman Tiahrt supported the DREAM Act, which provided for the folks who are here illegally to have education benefits, and has argued on behalf of those who are here legally to have driver's licenses. So this is an issue in which he and I disagree strongly. No amnesty, you can't benefit those people who have violated the law.
Thank you, Congressman. And the topic is immigration, illegal immigration. Congressman Todd Tiahrt.
Well, it's very important that we have no amnesty in America, that we build the fence. I've been very disappointed when Congressman Moran voted against building the fence, when he voted for amnesty, when he voted for bilingual ballots, that means in English and in Spanish, and when he voted just last year to remove the citizenship requirement to receive health care benefits, and then he raised our taxes to pay for it. So I think I've got a very strong record in making sure that we can solve the problem by first building the fence.
Thank you. And we go now to our last rebuttal on this issue to Tom Little.
I'm in agreement with Todd. I think we should build a fence, but at the same time, we should move the illegals out of the United States. Let's let Joe from Arizona come down here and handle that problem. These illegals cost us $1.5 million per year. That'll go a long ways in helping us with the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Little. There's been a lot of talk for a long time now about the Air Force tanker deal and how if Boeing gets the contract, it would create jobs in Wichita and Kansas. The question is, how do you balance issues that may be good for Kansas versus issues that could benefit the country overall? Congressman Tiahrt, you get the first answer on this.
Well, as you know, I've fought very hard to make sure that we have a level playing field because I believe our more productive, our better workers, I believe our American workers can win a competitive bid if they're given this level field. I think it's very disturbing to see our Pentagon try to outsource our national security. I have fought against that. And I was very disappointed when Congressman Moran voted against a program right here in Wichita that now ends up being outsourced to Brazil when he voted against the AT-6B program. So we have got to make sure that we don't outsource our national security. And for us to give highly classified data to the French is wrong. I want an American tanker made by American workers at an American company.
All right, thank you, Congressman. Our first rebuttal, 25 seconds, comes from Tom Little.
Tiahrt, that was a great response. I am also in agreement with him. But on this outsourcing business has got to stop. Anything that the government makes, anything that our people make in the United States, and that item is imported into the United States, put a tariff on it so the prices are identical.
All right, thank you, Mr. Little. And the final rebuttal comes from Congressman.
What Congressman Tiahrt talks about when he says I voted against things is my opposition to earmarks, and he suggests that that's all about jobs in Kansas. But Congressman Tiahrt is the one who voted for the earmark offered on the House floor to take it out. It was a Pelosi earmark for a pier in San Francisco. Congressman Tiahrt votes yes, I vote no. That's not jobs in Kansas. And the premise of this question, I think, is false. What's good for Wichita in this case is good for the country. That contract needs to level playing field, and the Boeing company and its employees need the opportunity to compete on that level playing
Congressman.
field.
The country is fighting 2 wars right now in Iraq and in Afghanistan. The question is, with those 2 wars going on and the trillions of dollars being spent, are we safer now than we were? Mr. Little gets the first answer.
We're not safer now than we were in the past. No one has ever beat those countries yet. Britain tried it. Russia tried it. Russia went into bankruptcy over it. They've been fighting each other for 2,000 years. So when we went over there because they had weapons of mass destruction, we get over there and discover they don't have weapons of mass destruction, we should bring our troops back right then and there. If you want to get rid of the leaders, let the CIA and the mafia and some of our secret killing organizations kill their leaders instead of their women and children and the young troops.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And the first rebuttal comes from Congressman Moran.
In this case, I disagree. I believe strongly that the decision was made to conduct a war in Iraq and Afghanistan for purposes of national security, protecting American lives, and now is not the time to walk away from that battle. I've seen too many families in Kansas sacrifice, and this is a battle we have to win, especially with Pakistan as a neighbor to Afghanistan with nuclear capabilities. So we made the decision. We need to do everything we can to support our troops and see success.
Thank you. And the final rebuttal on the issue of the wars we're fighting, Representative Todd Tiahrt.
We need to take the fight to the terrorists. If we don't, they'll be back here in America. We've already known that's historically a fact. But when they're over there, we need to give them the best tools available. That's why I was very disappointed when Congressman Moran voted against new body armor made right here in Kansas for our troops. We got to keep them safe when they're over there. You know, Jerry Moran acts like he's the only one, or I'm the only one that gives earmarks in Kansas. He had supported and asked for $250 million worth of earmarks last year.
Time is up. We now turn to a kind of a simple question. Each of you, we would like you to tell us one thing we don't know about you that's not been addressed during this campaign or in your political ads. We start with Congressman Moran.
That is an unusual question, and I guess what I would tell people is that I am someone who takes my job very seriously. I think we've had so much back and forth with Congressman Tiahrt, and from my perspective, when the polls came out showing significant leads, the negative advertising began. And the reality is that Kansans have elected me, the most Republican district in our state, for 7 terms. And if the things that Congressman Tiahrt suggests are true, and they're not, Kansans would not have made those decisions, re-electing me on 6 occasions. I love this state and want to make certain that we make the right decisions for our state and its future.
All right, thank you, Congressman. Up next, Todd Tiahrt.
Well, one thing that Jerry Moran thinks that I don't do is live here in Kansas, but I just paid my electric bill, and I asked, how long have I been paying my electric bill at this location? She said, since July 10th, 1981. I've lived in my house longer than Congressman Moran has lived in his. But what really disturbs me is the way that Congressman Moran went negative early on by sending out bad mailers, and now he says I'm slimy, and I think that's a personal attack. It's character assassination, and I think it should stop.
All right, thank you. Mr. Little, your turn now.
I don't think I can tell you much about myself that I haven't already said, other than I'm an accountant and I want to change the entire tax system. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks to all 3 of you. That's the end of our question and answer session. When we come back, the candidates for U.S. Senate will give us their closing statements. Stay with us.
The 49 News Main Street Live Summer Tour continues Wednesday, July 14th in Manhattan. KTKA 49 News is visiting 9 Northeast Kansas towns this summer for a special 6 p.m. live newscast, and you're invited. Join us Wednesday, July 14th, live at the Manhattan Town Center. The first 150 guests enjoy free brats courtesy of Johnsonville. The 49 News Main Street Live Summer Tour continues on Wednesday, July 14th, live from Manhattan. Brought to you by these local sponsors.
We're helping the gorgeous Jessica Simpson find Mr. Right.
I like a man that can cook. I got a couple numbers for you,
Hey,
if you know some cute chicks, send them my way.
And she's letting us in on how far some women go for beauty.
You drink it. Let me tell you, it was a detox for me. I was ready.
Then we're playing
What in the world is this?
plus a pasta meal that's perfect for summer. Next, Rach.
Tomorrow at 9 on 49 ABC. 49 Sports Director Nick Hoke is ready to push himself to the limit in the 49 News Sports Challenge. Watch 49 News every Tuesday at 6 and 10 and see Nick tackle your sports challenges. Think you can beat Nick? Go to KTKA.com and submit your challenge. Compete against Nick for bragging rights and a chance to appear on 49 News. 49 Sports Challenge is brought to you by Johnsonville Brats. Are you up to the challenge?
Welcome back. Our next question is regarding the oil spill in the Gulf, something we hear about every day. Viewers want to know, do you agree with the response to the oil spill from the federal government? How should the government hold BP accountable for the spill? We begin with Tom Little.
All right, how did we hold them accountable? The way we hold them accountable is they are accountable for the expenses in putting the United States back together, plus Halliburton, and plus the drilling contractor. So there's really 3 different organizations that are responsible for the funds.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Congressman Moran.
Well, absolutely, BP should be responsible. They need to pay the full costs. We need to get President Obama's administration out of the bureaucratic mode that they're in which they're unable to make decisions, in which they get in the way of the cleanup and the environmental and economic impact. But BP needs to cap the well. We're hoping that that happens this week. And then they need to be fully responsible to the economic and environmental damages to the coast of the United States, not the taxpayer.
And the final rebuttal on the oil spill question, Congressman Todd Tiahrt.
Well, I believe we ought to hold BP accountable as well. I also think we need to hold the Obama administration accountable. Why have they not waived the Jones Act yet? It's been several months, almost 3 months. Within 5 days of Katrina, President Bush waived the Jones Act so we could bring other countries' ships in to help with the cleanup and help with the repair. We have yet to get the ships in to get the oil skimmers cleaning up the mess, and I think we should hold the president accountable because of that.
Thank you. Now, Congressman, we will have the Republican candidates for Senate give their final statements, beginning with Congressman Jerry Moran.
Look, it's been a great evening to be with you. I appreciate the interest across our state and what happens to our country and its future. All my life, I've heard about how this is probably the most important election. You hear that election after election, and I sincerely believe it. In 2010 and 2012, this country, under its current leadership, is headed in the wrong direction. As a member of the Senate, we'll work hard to make changes in that regard. We need a balanced budget amendment, earmark elimination or reform. We need to repeal health care reform. I was the first member of the House to introduce the bill to repeal health care, term limits, and a fair tax. We have a lot of things we can do for the country and make certain that our children and grandchildren have a bright future. And that's not to do with all the attacks that come my direction. This is about a positive campaign about what we can do for the future of our country.
Thank you, Congressman. Now a final response from Tom Little.
If you're tired of hearing about tax, and more tax, then I would appreciate your vote, because I do not want any more tax added on. You've got these two gentlemen right here. They argue with each other all the time, and what's it going to be like if they both get in? They're going to have continuous arguments.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And now a final remark from Representative Todd Tiahrt.
Well, Roger, I've enjoyed this spirited debate tonight, and I think this is a very important election. Here in Kansas, we're taught to stand up for what we believe in, but where myself and my colleague Jerry Moran stand is very different. He has voted for higher taxes. I do everything I can to oppose taxes. He has voted for amnesty. I oppose amnesty. He has voted to give constitutional rights to terrorists. I believe that terrorists deserve no rights. I hope that you will all stay tuned to Channel 12 this evening to see the airing of a new ad about Gracia Burnham and what she believes about constitutional rights for terrorists. You know, I have enjoyed traveling this state, seen plenty of wonderful people and plenty of wonderful territory. And it's been an honor to run. So I appreciate this debate. God bless you all, and God bless Kansas.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. Here's a reminder of some important election dates this year. July 19th, that's next Monday. That's the last day to register for the primary election. That election, of course, to be held August 3rd. Moving on to the general election, you have until October 18th to register. That general will be on Tuesday, November 2nd. That concludes our Campaign 10 Candidate Forum. Thanks to all our candidates for coming in, and to our co-sponsors in Kansas City, Lawrence, and Topeka. Next week, Monday at 6:30, hear from the Democratic candidates for the U.S. Senate seat. We'll see you then.
Tell your friends the cheapest prices are at hand. The very best deals are at Boyle's Joyland. Now it's time to be like all the smart buyers.